lifting weights is never going to affect the quality of being able to find a mate and having them stay with you, your friends, your work environment. It's not going to make you more popular. It's not going to do these things that often how a lot of people get started in this world, right?
Yes.
You're not going to be looked up to in any greater manner, have more respect around you in any manner that matters, right?
I'd love it if you could share some of the indicators that an individual may be pursuing size, strength, and power for the wrong reasons and what the consequences are of developing physical strength at the expense of emotional, mental, and spiritual strength.
Yes. So I think I'm going to cover that maybe in some broad general guidelines and then give some examples. So I think if you look at it and realize that anything, if you're chasing it for anything that is an external factor, that you're probably in the wrong direction versus internal self-development, understanding your limitations as your time for yourself meditatively, so many different avenues, internal versus external, developing resilience versus, so some examples would be the simple fact that lifting weights is never going to affect the quality of being able to find a mate and having them stay with you, your friends, your work environment. It's not going to make you more popular. It's not going to do these things that often how a lot of people get started in this world, right?
Yes.
You're not going to be looked up to in any greater manner, have more respect around you in any manner that matters, right? So it effectively, those are the things that you've got to understand, because if you're chasing that, we end up with a lot of people like in this ego mentality. I'm going to war. I'm going to battle. I'm going to this warrior, and it's like, no, we're just lifting weights. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure. When I walk up to a big max, a squat or deadlift, I'm going to put my mental state maybe in that for that, brief 10, 20, 30 seconds while I try to, imagine
overcome
that
resistance,
that I'm overcome. But you need to walk away from that, because if you don't, that's going to actually impact all those things in the rest of your life, because you're going to walk out and still be this perception, which people are going to see right through. They're going to see this front, it could be narcissism, it could be ego, it could be any of this. And it's so in your face to other people when you have that, and you're going to create more of that, right? So your insecurities just become more visible to everybody around, instead of this shield, this physical force, that you're trying to develop this to be able to be to a point where nothing can hurt you, nothing can damage you, emotionally, or where that's just not reality. Big muscles are not going to protect you from any of those things that have hurt you in life, other than the resilience to be able to withstand the physical challenges and things that may come at you, which includes age or being in a bicycle accident, or, like, there's value in it. 100%, right? But it's not going to protect you from those other things. It's not going to protect you from, kids laughing at you and making fun of you in grade school, or not making it on the team, or whatever those reasons are. It's not going to take that away or make it you stronger to withstand that. Walking around the inflated lat, it's like the inflated lat syndrome, that, like, people can see that. And when you lift weights for that reason, you may be bigger and not like, actually pretending you got lats and walking around, but it's just like that. People are going to see that, and it's actually going to create more issues with those root issues, whether it's somebody not loving you and your ability to hold and maintain a relationship, right? Because you're going to fall back on, well, I'm just going to go back to the gym and get bigger and hotter and better looking and get a better person than the person that dumped me. Like, no,
Right.
they did not dump you because your biceps were small.
No.
Right. So, uh, it was some other reason. And so we never addressed that. And we actually, and we forcibly turn and look the other direction. So this external versus internal. So,
Yeah.
like, and no judgment, like if you're in that space, that's fine. Like, hey, I like many people started lifting weights as a teen because I was like, oh, it's going to attract girls. And at the time, I had no self-confidence. I, was walking around with dirt, like you can imagine, the picturesque of what I looked like. And I'm like, this is going to open up those avenues. Yeah. That's why I was lifting weights at 12, 13, 14 years old. Like it's going to have an impact on this stuff. Right. Well, no, it doesn't. Right.
It does give you more confidence in yourself. I
It
mean, from
does,
my
but
own
that's
experience.
internal. And that's actually,
Yes.
so we do charity work for Special Olympics. So we train the teams, we put on competitions. We want some of the fundraising been done for Special Olympics, because there is really, you get so many people like this cheerleading mentality that we have in the world today, all rah, rah, all positive work environment, school, all this sort of stuff. And again, that environment, they know if somebody's, tooting up their horn versus I went and I've been doing this program and I know I made progress. Nobody
Yeah.
has to tell me. And that has such a huge impact. Watching Special Olympians get involved with strength training, I have never seen anything have a broader impact on their mental and emotional well-being, their self-confidence, than actually lifting weights. Because it's not, I'm bigger, I'm stronger. It's the fact that I put effort into something and I realized a result, right? And that is what builds confidence. Winning, like overcoming challenges and immovable things that in the world, that builds confidence. And that is one, and no one can take that away. Nobody could say, oh, that was make believe.
It increases freedom for people with limitations as
Oh my
well.
God. That's the physical resilience, right?
Yeah. It's also important for their psychological health, because being, in a wheelchair or having a disease that limits you, it really is hard, because you look at your friends, your family, and everybody else is doing a lot of the things you wish you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But as you get stronger and all of a sudden you can get yourself up off the toilet to wipe your own bottom, and maybe that's been a real issue for you. And now you have the freedom of not having to call somebody to help wipe your butt every time. For most of us, we don't really realize how big of a step that can be in somebody's life. It can completely be a state shift for them. Like, wow, I've really got something here. And that's what inspires more commitment to the process of developing what I would call functional strength.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we do a lot of work there because it's, like I said, it's transformative watching that happen, and that happens to everyone. It's much more relevant and visible with working with those individuals.